Good afternoon. The topic discussed today is regarding a study made in 2009 by New York University professor Leonard Wanchika, titled Can Informed Public Deliberation Overcome Clientelism? An Experimental Evidence from Benin. Our team is made up of Francisca, Nadine, Ali, Ivan, and Eugenio.
Okay, let's start this way. Clientelism simply refers to the exchange of goods and services for political support. The current debate on clientelism is a mixed one. In the first instance, clientelism is mostly driven by political circumstances rather than structural factors. Generally, it is easier for voters to believe clientelist promises than promises to deliver public goods and services. The other similar view is that non-clientelistic or programmatic politics comes along with countries attaining high levels of political development. In this case, programmatic policies refer to the shift from personality-based or clientelistic focus approaches to more program-based and specific strategies. So, developing countries are caught in the clientelist trap, where low development strengthens clientelist politics, which results in even lower development. So the only way to break out of this trap is to identify and introduce campaign strategies that will shape voters' expectations about politician future action. This happens when voters' and politicians' expectations are properly aligned so that the public goods promises are more credible. Deliberative democracy literature suggests that public deliberation promotes enlightenment, consensus, and civic engagement. The challenge is that there is very little evidence from the field to support this argument. Most scholars assume the impossibility of real alternatives to clientelism, especially in the short run.
So, essentially, the author aims to test whether programmatic policies are possible in the presence of backward social relations and strong ethnic cleavages. In order to gather this knowledge, the author indicates the importance of identifying campaign strategies that would shape voters' expectations about politicians' future actions. The research question addressed in the paper is how the electoral campaigns based on town hall meetings led by expert-designed and specific promises has an effect on voter information, turnout, and electoral support for the candidate.
This experiment was done in Benin during the 2006 presidential elections. Randomized trials were used in 24 villages of Benin with 4 political candidates who volunteered to take part in this experiment. The villages were randomly selected from 12 electoral districts. These were districts that were dominated by the participating candidates. 12 villages were randomly selected from each electoral district and assigned to the treatment group, and another 12 villages assigned to the control group. First, before the elections took place, pre-electoral surveys were conducted to establish the policy priorities of the voters in the treatment units. Then, during the campaign, a series of 8 to 10 town hall meetings were held in each village. These meetings involved giving a 15-minute speech about the specific problems facing the country and how the candidate proposed to address the problems, after which there would be an open debate among the participants. The villages in the treatment group were assigned to non-clientelist institutions for generating electoral support. They received expert-designed policy proposals and specific policy promises which they debated and even amended by the participants during the town hall meetings. While villages in the control group were assigned to the standard clientelist institutions, in which they received a mixture of less informed policy promises and clientelist campaign promises. After the election, data was collected on the voter turnout at each of the selected sites. They also surveyed a sample in each group on various demographic, socio-economic, and political variables, including the preferences of the candidates and voting behavior.
The results of the study showed that a two-stage public deliberation over policies led by experts can improve electoral support for those policies. These town meetings improve civic engagement and electoral support for good governance, and make the selection and implementation of good policies more likely. Actually, candidates could win more votes if they use platforms informed by research through town meetings instead of a standard campaign message. This could be achieved by institutionalizing the generation and use of expert policy information by parties, governments, and civil society organizations. If a given policy is known by voters and politicians to be both welfare-improving and electorally effective, then that policy is more likely to be adopted by politicians as electoral platforms in future elections, and more likely to be implemented once the politician is in office. It will be helpful to install in Benin and other African countries a Council of Experts, a permanent and independent academic institution to advise and assist political parties and the government in designing and evaluating policies and in setting development priorities.
In conclusion, this was a field experiment conducted in Benin to investigate the effect of an expert-led deliberative campaign on political behavior. The study showed that the campaign or the treatment has a positive effect on the voter information turnout and voting for the candidates running the experiment. The results have been used to provide an empirical justification for the creation of Council of Experts that would systematically evaluate policy initiatives, advise local and national governments, political parties, and civil society organizations, and lead public discussions around election times or other critical junctures of national policy making. The author argues that by engaging voters and political actors, councils of experts would not only help create an electoral constituency for governance, but also improve transparency and accountability in government. However, there is the need to improve the external validity of the findings by replicating the experiment in other African countries and in the context of other types of elections, such legislative or municipal elections.
Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.
Good luck in the policy design paper. Bye.